Welcome to this week's Fowl Friday Tip of the Week, brought to you by HP Outdoors. Here's your hosts, Josh Palm and Dan Harushka.
Hey everybody, it's Josh and Dan, and we're back with another Fowl Friday quick tip of the week. This week we're talking about something that's super important as a duck hunter. It's flexibility. And what do we mean by that? Basically, it's the ability to know when it's time to get up and either move locations or move your spread around or make an adjustment to what you're doing. A lot of guys, they get out there, they do their scouting, they find where they want to be, and then they get out there and then they just hope and pray for the best, and they're content watching birds land just on the fringe of their spread or just over the hillside, or maybe they're able to break off a few flocks, but they're frustrated because not all the birds are finishing like they hoped they would. If you find yourself in this situation, do not waste any time. If your gut tells you that there's something that you can change to make the hunt a little bit better, trust your instincts and do it. And it might be, you've got a permanent blind on this end of the water hole and you like to hunt down there, and the first two flocks of the morning land on the other side. Your best bet is to pick up, get down there, and maximize the rest of the morning. It does you no good to sit there and just watch birds pile into the other end for the rest of the morning. The same can be said, though, when you're in a spot where you're having a successful hunt. So let's say you're in the field where the X is. You're right there. Birds are finishing into the field, but they're not quite centering up and finishing how you'd hope they would. It's good to be on the X, but you really want to be right on the X where the two lines of the X are crossing. I mean, you want to be on that exact spot where the birds want to be. So sometimes you might have to go against your judgment, where maybe you're in a field with a dip and the birds are landing down in that dip. But when you set up in the morning, you think, well, let me get up on the hill so there's a little more visibility and we can pull birds in from the areas around you. And then you sit there and the first two flocks drop down in that dip. You better pack up and get down in that dip, or you're going to have a really long, frustrating morning. So it's really key. It's really important, but something that a lot of guys, I think, really struggle with is just knowing when to, pop smoke, pull the plug on that spot that you're in, and try something different to make the best of your hunt. What do you think, Dan? How do you feel about flexibility?
You said trust your gut, and I think that's a great point. Whenever you set your first spread of the day, you're trusting your gut. But that doesn't mean that you have to be overconfident. And, sometimes you have to swallow your pride. If the wind moves a little bit, or if the birds aren't finishing like you said, don't be afraid to, if you need to turn your blinds, turn it. Depending on the wind, if they're coming in at a different angle, make sure everyone in your crew has a good shooting lane and, safety overall. Another thing, don't be afraid to move decoys. If, as a rookie, you might sit there and let 3 or 4 flocks go. Now, if one flock lands outside, I'm moving decoys. I'm making sure that they're going to be coming right into the hole depending on wind. And, like Terry Denman said, if you have something like a mojo out, a spinning wing decoy, you can go ahead, pick it up, even, put it back in the satchel or move it away. They have their purpose, and sometimes you need to take them out of the field. So a lot of things about being versatile, and don't be afraid to change it up.
Being flexible is one of the most important things for a waterfowl hunter. So when you're out in the field this weekend, if things aren't going the way that you think that they should, don't hesitate to make a move. Move your location, pick up your decoys, and I promise you, you'll have better success. Best of luck to you.
Looking for more waterfowl hunting tips and techniques? Visit hpoutdoors.com or subscribe to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast on iTunes.